Hey, my name is Mark Hankes, Major Mark Hankes, assigned at RAAF Base Amberley here in Australia. My job here, I'm an exchange officer with the KC-30 and really just trying to build relationships with the Aussies, as well as interoperability with the USAF. Yeah, it's a big deal to learn a new aircraft. Airbus is quite a bit different than the KC-135 that I flew before. Also, we're flying with a lot of different regulations. AFIs that I used to know quite well are no longer applicable, so I have to learn all the RAAF SIs and all their rules for flying, and the airspace that we're flying in is quite a bit different as well, and how they operate is just, it's not the same. So there's a lot to unlearn and relearn, but it's really good. Well, for me, it was all behind the scenes. I kind of knew that we had an exchange out here, but I didn't really think it was something I was going to be able to do. I was at the right place at the right time. I literally got a phone call from my commander asking me if I was interested to go to Australia to learn a new airplane. I told him I'd have to ask my wife. I asked my wife, and she was like, yeah, absolutely, Australia. And I called my commander back, told him yes, and 6 months later, I'm out here. We're very excited about that. We're also a little bit apprehensive about it because we had a baby on the way. We came out with a 5-week-old son. So we have 3 kids now, and that was a big rush trying to get ourselves out here and make sure that we had all of our documentation in order, and the wife was healthy enough to travel. But we're very excited. My family was unhappy that I was going to be gone for 3 years with probably not traveling back, which we didn't do. We did have a few visitors, but so my family was excited to go, a little bit nervous. One of the things that I enjoy most about this aircraft is that it's very comfortable to fly. So we have air conditioning, we have galleys that work. We have actually a few different galleys in the aircraft. We have an FCRC, a flight crew rest compartment, instead of just bunks in the back of the aircraft. I have a dedicated room for crew rest on long flights, so that's a massive win for the KC-30 and something that I quite enjoy. So I knew I always wanted to be a pilot coming into the Air Force. I wasn't sure what kind of pilot I was going to become or where I was going to go with that. I actually did have in my mind an F-16 path. That's kind of where I thought I was going to go. And then I went through pilot training in T6 and worked out that the tanker guys are maybe a little more relaxed. The airlift guys were a little bit more chill and easy to get along with. And I worked out that that's probably where I was as well. And so I figured I was going to go to the heavies. I was FAPed first, so I did a T1 FAPE for my first assignment. And then after that, I thought I was going to go KC-10s or C-17s on the West Coast and then work east. And I found myself at McConnell Air Force Base. But the path was a little bit non-standard for me to get to tankers and get to here, but it's been very good. One of the things I like about being a tanker pilot is being able to support all the other aircraft. So we're supporting fighters get across oceans. We're helping them stay on station longer. We're helping airlift be able to move more cargo from one location to another, or take them over airspace that they wouldn't be able to land in. So we're supporting a lot of other aircraft and airframes and mission sets, and I really enjoy that part of it. Well, they're absolutely important. We have programs all over the Pacific, all over the world with other countries. Today, the USAF has shrunk a lot in the last 3 decades, but our mission set has not changed. So we really need our international partners to work alongside us to be able to make the same effects as we would as a larger Air Force, especially this day and age with a lot of other complexities with other countries, some potential adversaries. So with Australia specifically, we got 101 years of mateship under our belt. We're good friends, we're good allies. We've fought in every major conflict together. It only makes sense for us to be able to build deeper relationships and be able to work seamlessly together. Yeah, so my time is almost up, and my replacement is here. My replacement is Captain Mike Warzinski, and I've met him a few times. I met him on a trip to McGuire in this KC-30, and I've also met him in a deployed location as well. So I've known him a little bit before he even got selected, and I did advocate for him as he was one of the few that were, one of the last few that was going to be selected. But he's been here, and we've been doing whatever we can to help make sure that he's set up and ready to go here. It's a bit different to come into Australia. There's a few things that you need to know about along the way. And we've been doing everything we can to try to make sure that they're transition over here is quite good with he and his family. Yeah, we have a couple different pilots in the squadron that have done exchanges with the USAF. We have squadron leader Shane Saunders, who's currently my boss here. He just came back in December from an exchange tour flying KC-10s McGuire. And he's a huge asset, a huge... He comes with a lot of good experience that he can bring over. Yeah, I've got a wife and 3 little kids that we brought over to Australia. My oldest now is 6 years old, Russell, and my daughter is 4 years old, Dretta, and my youngest is Cody. Cody came over as a 5-week-old, and now he's almost 3. And yeah, we've been excited to see them grow. And they've really enjoyed their time here in Australia. Yeah, it was a big adjustment for them coming to Australia. They didn't have schools before, but the schools here have been really good. My oldest son said, "Mommy, Daddy, I'm from Kansas, but I speak Australian." And that I thought was one of the funniest things that he's ever said and done. But they've actually transitioned quite well. They've done it's a big move, but they've done a great job with it, and we're really proud of them. Growing up, I think I always knew I wanted to fly airplanes in the Air Force. My grandpa flew C-47s, C-46s with the Army Air Corps in World War II. He flew over the hump from India into China, into Vietnam and Southeast Asia. And my dad is an engineer at McDonnell Douglas and then Boeing. So he's been around aircraft. I've been around aircraft my whole life to a certain degree. And so this is always something I thought I was going to be able to do. I try to be a little bit closed-lipped about my time in Australia. I don't want to make my mates back in the States too jealous about some of the goodness that is out here, but it is very good. It's a very sweet deal. That's a good question. As far as my future in the Air Force goes, again, we think we're going to the KC-46 at McConnell, but after that, I mean, who knows? There's probably a staff assignment for us, maybe school as well. So I'm really not sure exactly what the future holds for us, but we're pretty excited to stay and to be part of it. There's a lot of very unique, stereotypical Australian experiences that we've had here. We do eat Vegemite. I do like Vegemite. My kids eat Vegemite. We love the kangaroos. That's one of the most exciting things that we saw the very first weeks that we were here. We got the season passes at Lone Pine Koala Sanctuary. And it's just a daily reminder seeing them along the side of the road, hopping along and eating the grass. And we see kangaroos every day. The koalas, my wife still loves koalas. We get excited about going there and holding the koalas quite often. But there's a lot of very unique Australian things. The beaches here are fantastic. That's something that we didn't have in Kansas, and something that I think we're going to miss as well. Australians are generally more relaxed than what I've seen in the U.S. It's a culture where you go get coffee in the morning and maybe again in the afternoon, and that was not a thing in my previous squadron. So I look forward to bringing that culture back to the USAF. With the Australians, we've had a lot of different international experiences in the Middle East. We've supported the British, the Germans, the French, the USAF, the Marines, on exercises around Australia and Japan. We've supported the Indian Air Force and the Singaporean Air Force, and a lot of other countries, as well as the US. So that's one of the great things about this platform and about this mission, is that we get to support a lot of other countries, and it's very international as far as the engagement goes.
Okay, I'm Captain Mike Warzinski. I'm a KC-30 exchange pilot. Hometown is Woodbridge, Virginia, and I previously came from McGuire Air Force Base, New Jersey. So actually, I learned about the opportunity from the RAAF Exchange Officer assigned to the United States a few years ago. I was flying with him in the KC-10. And it was pretty much just started, we were on a local flight, and I said, "Hey, so you're here, is there an American in Australia?" Which I found out there was, and it was something that I communicated often with my commanders. So I got a phone call from my commander before a flight. He said, "G'day, Mike, I've got some good news for you." And so I flew my mission back in the States, and then I came home, told my wife and kids, and we were just absolutely thrilled. And we instantly started looking at places to live and how we're gonna get here. And we've just dived in ever since then. So my wife's really excited. It's just a different part of the world to live and to explore. our countries are very similar, but also very different. And so it's just a new land of different adventures and places to explore. Our kids are quite small. I've got a 3-year-old now, so she knows she's in Australia, and she's excited to be here. There's numerous parks and green spaces for her to play in, and kangaroos for her to play and feed, and koalas, and so she's just absolutely loves it here. So before coming over to Australia, I spent about 6 years on the KC-10 extender at McGuire, New Jersey. And there I met numerous Australians that came through and were training and flying with us in our squadrons back in the States. It's aviation, there's a lot of similarities, but there's also a lot of differences. So this is an Airbus, so it's completely different from flying a Boeing or a McDonnell Douglas product. That being said, there's also RAAF regulations and standing instructions that I'm still navigating through, but luckily everyone in the squadron's welcoming and accustomed to that, and so they really helped me steer me in the right direction. It's been a blast. Everyone here is extremely welcoming, extremely friendly. Everyone has suggestions of where to go, what to do. What I enjoy most about being a tanker pilot is just the opportunity to travel and the opportunity to project global reach, whether that's by delivering fighters, cargo airplanes, bombers, wherever they need to go, or whether it's transporting troops or cargo. Just being able to go anywhere in the world at a moment's notice is extremely rewarding. So when I first found out that I wanted to be a pilot was actually when I moved overseas as a kid. My dad was in the service, and my first airplane ride, I just thought it was the greatest thing ever, and it was something that always interested me. And so my parents would take us to air shows and go see static displays, and then I just kind of worked my way up, and I've been very, very, very fortunate to become a pilot. My father is actually a public affairs officer in the Air Force, and so he studied journalism back in the day, and then saw the Air Force as an opportunity to travel the world as well. So growing up, we grew up all over the world. It was, again, a great opportunity, and then it's something that I wanted to be a part of and let my kids also enjoy. When I was on the KC-10, we did do a lot of operations here in the Pacific. We know that Talisman Sabre just finished up 2 years ago. I got to participate on the KC-10 side of Talisman Sabre. We positioned to Hawaii and then Wake Island, and then we offloaded 80,000 pounds of gas to a RAAF C-17 that was going nonstop from Alaska to Australia. And that was just extremely rewarding. Again, seeing how close our air forces are and how similar we are, and then how different we are, where we can learn from each other, is just extremely rewarding, and it's a really good partnership. The thing that really excites me about being in Australia, again, is just learning how a very large country can operate very lean and very efficient, and how they focus on their priorities with having seven tanker aircraft. What do they focus on, and where do they allocate their training and operations? Absolutely. So for the family, we're really excited to explore this country. It's a massive country. My wife actually has family down in Melbourne, and so around the winter time, the American winter time, so Christmas time, we're going to head down to Melbourne and spend some time with her family down there. Eventually, we're going to make it over to the western side of Australia, where I have an uncle in Perth. And then once we're seen some of the major cities here in Australia, we're going to venture over to New Zealand, and then hopefully continue our way north throughout the Pacific and go to countries like Thailand, Vietnam, and Japan. So we've got 3 years here. We're really excited. It's going to be busy with work and the RAAF tempo, but also we're looking to enjoy our leave in this region of the world. So I think by serving in the U.S. Air Force, you're serving in an organization that's bigger than yourself, and with core values that are bigger than yourself as well. So being a part of the team and seeing some of the amazing things that both the USAF and the RAAF accomplish is all the reward in itself. It's a really humbling job. And being afforded the opportunity to actually get this assignment and come down here to be a part of the RAAF. Everyone's just been extremely welcoming. Before I left the States, they gave me all the gouge that we would ever need to make our trip smooth, where to stay, where to eat, while we're in this transition period of finding a home. And then while we're here, we're really looking to keep the relationships going, keeping the friendships going, and being just a social part of the unit and the country. So.
My name's Squadron Leader Shane Saunders. I'm a pilot 33 Squadron, and I'm also D-Flight Commander, which is really in charge of standardization and checking. Having the exchange program really adds some depth of knowledge to the squadron, and it also makes the interoperability piece a little easier to achieve. We have common tactics and ways of doing business, and that helps when they're integrated. It makes it more seamless when we work together. Yeah, absolutely. I've been very fortunate enough to have an exchange. I went to the KC-10 at Maguire Air Force Base, Joint Base Maguire-Dix Lakehurst up in New Jersey. I did 3 years there. My family moved over with me from January 2016 through to December of 2018. Living in Jersey was a wonderful experience. My wife and kids actually ask if we can go back all the time, especially the young ones. They really integrated very well. The unit there made us feel like family more than ever, and it was such a wonderful experience. It was actually probably the hardest thing about the exchange was leaving the States. Well, just be careful of the dangerous animals, and then we're a much smaller organisation than the USAF, so it's in some ways a little bit more personal, but in some ways you have to work a bit harder to get the stuff you need as well. So yeah. Couple of things there for them. These exchanges are really important. What they do is allow us to work better together, making sure that we have the same procedures and tactics, similar way of doing business, so that we can pretty much just integrate with one another throughout any mission wherever we need to go. And that's already the case as a result pretty much of these exchanges.
Transition.
Yeah, it's a good question. I think the 10 and the KC-30 are really similar aircraft. Obviously, slightly different to fly, but the role and the capability is quite similar. So in fact, having deployed with both the KC-30 and the KC-10 very easily could be in either aircraft at any time, really. Just the KC-10 has a little bit more gas and slightly more capable, and then some of the situational awareness you get from the KC-30 is probably the main differences there. But both are really nice. I would probably have to say the KC-10 is just a little bit nicer to fly, but the Airbus is probably a little bit more SA and capability in terms of the bigger picture. A tanker pilot is it's a pretty good deal. We're very fortunate all the time to be looked after and get to go around the world for the most part, support exercises. It's really doing something in the middle of just taking off and landing like an airline pilot would. We have some considerations whether we're dragging fighters somewhere or refueling, C-17, or just practicing by ourselves with another KC-30. There's stuff to do in the middle that's not just taking off at one place and landing at another. I wanted to be a pilot pretty much since childhood. I actually did a little bit of civilian flying before I decided to have a go and join the RAAF, and haven't looked back since. I've been in now 16 years thereabouts, and really loving my career so far. I've had wonderful opportunities, including the exchange position to New Jersey, and yeah, it's been a wonderful experience. Yeah, absolutely. I've done a number of exercises, obviously domestically within Australia. We have a lot of visitors such as the US for Talisman Sabre just passed now, but also up through the region in Southeast Asia, and actually coming up in just a couple of weeks' time, the KC-30, I'll be taking over a contingent of Australians with the KC-30 to exercise Mobility Guardian in Fairchild Air Force Base in Spokane, Washington. So really looking forward to that, and being a premier AMC event, it's going to be great fun. We're hoping to learn a lot of stuff from that.